Hello students and welcome to the next part of the application development. We've been building the database part as well as add, edit, delete sections. We have completed, we have separate videos on that. You can check the previous videos for that. In this lesson, we are going to focus on how to build the dashboard of the application. Now we are building some facilities or the features to our application, the backend basically. So out of that, one is we're going to build a dashboard. It's going to be a central place. From that, we're going to access all the other facilities in the website, which is adding, editing, deleting, as well as search. Also we're going to build. Still we haven't built the search part. Let's do this part, then we can build the search routine. So basically we're going to have a dashboard. We're going to creating the dashboard won't be taking a lot of time. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to build the dashboard, because basically it's going to do bootstrap designing part. Then from that, there's just to connect them. So once that's built, I can show you how it's working. What is the most important thing that we're going to do today is we're going to learn how to do a proper login module. Why I call this one as a module? Because now in this application development course, you are learning how to do the module login, or the module for login part. So let's say in future, you're going to build another application. So there are some files I'm going to create for the login module. So these files you're going to copy and paste, or you can just move them into your new project and you're good to go. It's going to work as well as that. Maybe you want to do some front end designing, you will have to do tiny changes, touch ups. Other than that, the module or the login module is going to work perfect as it is. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel, developing the or doing the module login again and again, wasting time. Same goes for your assignment also. What we are doing here, you can directly use it in the assignment, tweaking around the some pages. This part is totally accepted, right? So without further delay, let's get started. First step, what we're going to do is in chapter 7, right, where we have all the other program files, our application part is there. I'm going to build the dashboard.php file, which is going to have the interface. I'm going to create that file here, right? So chapter 7, pressing letter A, I'm going to call this one as dashboard.php. That's all I'm giving here. Then I will construct the HTML page there, right? So I'm going to pause the video. Once the page is constructed, I'm going to resume the video. Okay, as I said, I have finished building most of the part of the dashboard. As you can see, the code part is here. Take a look at the output, what has come. So it displays a heading called dashboard, and user is displayed here. Next to that, we're going to display who have logged in. Then these are the options that you can do. Actually, the facilities that are provided with this dashboard is these: adding, editing, deleting product. So we have provided the buttons. Actually, these are HTML links. Then search and logout is there. So we're going to build them. So none of these buttons are linked. I'm going to link them. I'll show you one. I'll link, then I'll post, right? Okay. So adding a record, we're going to link like this. So here we have the part built. So add part here. This hash mark, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to say add underscore product underscore one dot php. That part is done. Then for edit, I'm going to say, sorry, edit is going to be edit product one.php. Delete is also the same, delete one.php. Then search, we haven't built it. Let's build that one after some time. So we'll say search one.php. And finally, we will build today the logout part, which is logout.php. So now we have built these parts. Just let's give it a try and see. So when you refresh this, right, and when you say add, now we can go to that part, right? So we can go to the add part. Later we will put a common navigation bar here. So from here, if you want to go to the dashboard, again, we can access the dashboard, right? Okay. So that part is built, edit is built, as well as delete is also built and connected, right? Okay. Right. Since our dashboard is created now, ready to go with the login module now we're going to start creating the login module, right? So before I start coding it, so I'll tell you the plan how I'm going to do that. So I'm going to show you the storyboard, how the login module going to work first. So according to the that storyboard with the wireframe, I'm going to build it. So when I'm doing the designing part, definitely I'm going to post the video Then I'm going to show you the code. Definitely, I'm going to make the source code available in the description, so you can download the source code at any time. You can refer it yourself. So in order to make the video short, I'm going to not record the HTML coding part. I'm going to do there, right? Okay. Right. So let's take a paintbrush and let's me give you the lesson plan or how it's going to work, right? This is how I'm going to build it, right? Nice. When we are building the login module or the login, right? All of you know what's the reason we are calling it as a login module, right? So I'm going to build, first of all, one web page here, right? Then a page here, right? Then I'll put, oh, sorry, I'll put, then I build a page here. Then I'll build another page here. This is getting recorded anyways, right? No problem. Okay, right now, let's see. And of course, I'm going to have a database also here. Those who are watching the video, you can forward the video for about 1 minute. Yeah. Right. So let's call this one as the database. This is, I'll just put DB or database, right? That is going to be our database, right? Then I'm going to name these things, children. So let me use a color that is much visible for you. Let's not use red. Okay, let's use black itself. So I'm going to create a page here, which is going to be called uh, login underscore one.php. So let's take it out. Okay, that's going to be login one.php. This is going to be login two.php, right? I'll explain what's going to happen, right? So login one is going to have the user interface where you're going to type username and password, and we're going to press the login button. Once you do click on the login button, it's going to take the username and the password and come to the login2.php file. Basically, it's going to bring the details there. Then in order to make sure the user is an existing user or is a valid user, we're going to examine that in the database. So we're going to get ourselves connected to the database. We'll be connected to the database. We will check in the database table. We have to build that table as well. If the username and the password are matching, then we give the response back. Yeah, it is matching, right? It can match. It can match, Sometimes it cannot match, right? So what we do is, if the username and the password are properly matching in the database, what we do is we redirect the user to the dashboard. We already built it. So user will come to the dashboard.php file, right? So this, we already built it. Once the proper login is done, people will land on the dashboard.php. If you make a mistake, people will end up in invalid login.php. Invalid login.php file. So invalid login is pretty easy to build. What we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of the login1.php file, and we're going to rename it as invalid login page, right? Invalid login page. Then what I will do is I will make that page, the heading I will change access denied, right? Invalid login, something like that. I'm going to do that. How to build, how to make sure, and all the things I'm going to show you how to do it, right? So it's not going to be difficult. It's simple things. Then here also we are expecting the user to type the username and the password once again, because the same screen, once you hit the OK button or the login button, it's again going to take the user back to login2.php file. So from here, this page, we're going to come back to login2.php file. Once we come here, again, we type the new, we check the new username and the password the user has entered here with the database table here. And if it is matching there, we're going to send the user to dashboard. If the second time, again, if the user has made a mistake in the username or the password, we're going to still send them to the invalid login part. So this is the mechanism, or this is the storyboard, or a very low level of a wireframe design I just showed you. This is how our task is going to get done. So here, this page is already done. We have already built that part. Database is there. We have to build a table. So we have to do that part first. We're going to build the table first. Then we're going to start building the login1.php. So step by step, let's do that one, right? Okay, so let's get started with creating the database table first. Okay, so I am going to have a table like this. So I will create a table with three columns basically. One is going to be user underscore ID. I'm not going to use the names as username, password. I'm not going to use, because those terms are reserved by the SQL language. So we are not going to use any of those words, like, for example, year, month, grant, permission, password, username. These words you can't use because they are part of SQL command itself. So please avoid them. So user ID, the same thing, username, right? Access code is the same as the password, right? So I'm going to use this access code, user ID and access code. Finally, I'm going to use a column called user group, right? So whether he's an administrator or he is going to be a normal user. Under this, let's create just two accounts. One is called admin, admin at admin.com. So it's space is not enough for me to type the whole thing, children. So that's the detail I'm going to type there. Username, admin at admin.com. Password for that, I'm going to type as admin. Password is going to be admin, and user group is also admin. So this record I'm going to create. Then I will create one more record, which is a user at user.com. So just, so it has to be like that. And the username access code is going to be admin. Um, access code is going to be user. Group is also going to be user, or we can say staff. Admin group, staff group, administrator group we can use. So we'll call this as a user group, or we'll say just staff group. So according to the logged in privilege, certain options in the database we can disable, right? So we're going to learn that how to do it. Maybe deleting records, we can disable it. So I'll show you how to do that part. Okay, children. So this is what we're going to do. So user name, right? So let's do that part. This part is not important. I'm going to create that, right? Right. Let it be on the video anyways, right? I'm starting my HideSQL tool. Let's go to the database. So this is the database that we are having, product table only there. I'm building my table now, right clicking on the database, clicking create new table, right? I will create the table as logs. So that's how we're going to maintain. So master table for storing usernames, and that's a comment for the table. Okay, usernames and passwords. So it's going to have just three columns, 1, 2, 3. First column is going to be user underscore ID. I'm sorry that screen cannot be, the font cannot be increased. Then I can use access code. Finally, I'm going to say user underscore group. Data types, I need to change. This one going to be Vacha. Access code Vacha. User group Vacha. User ID, I can go up to 100. Password also will go 100. User group maybe 20. Right? That is enough. And user ID is going to be my primary key. That is going to be the email address we're going to use. So, you know, email addresses are unique. So we're going to use the email addresses as the user IDs, and they cannot be repeated because it's going to be the primary key. Right clicking on it, select create new index, choose primary. Right, so we don't need any of the other things. These things cannot be blank anyways. Allow null, I'm removing. No default values also we are giving, right? So that's all the table that we have to create. I'm going to save this one. Okay, there's an error for that. What's that? Right, that's done. This is done now. Okay, fine. Now the next step is to create a user account in it. So we will create two user account in it. You can build a front end for that, right? Just like adding a product, you can have a creating a screen. I will set it as assignment task for you. You do it later. So for the simplicity part, I'm just going to add some record here. So let's add um, admin at admin.com. This is for testing purpose. Username access code is admin. User group is also admin. I will add one more record. Then use as user at user.com. Access code is user group is staff. Okay, so there are two groups users here, and you can see there's this problem here. Even the database administrator could be a hacker. So if that person gets access to this particular table, then your account is in danger. You can see access code is in plain English here. You can see that. So what shall we do is, in the second step, we will learn how to do the encryption part. So once we do the encryption, it's only one-way encryption we're going to do with PHP. Once we do that, there is no way you can decode it. So if you forget the password, then very sorry that you can't recover the password, right? So make sure that you remember the password, right? So I'm going to encrypt this one in the version 2 or in the improvising part. We will do that part. For the time being, let it be like this, right? Okay, that's done, right? So our table is ready. Now, according to the diagram, we need to build this part, right? Login1.php file. So to do that, I'm going to again take my screen. I will make use of my sample page.php file, and I'll do it like this. I will duplicate that, calling login1.php, and this page will be different. Let me do that and come back. Now I have built the login screen, right? So basically I just copied a page and I edited it. Let me show you how it's done. So we duplicated the sample page.php file, and we created login1.php file. So this has nothing much, right? So I created a div tag, and using Bootstrap's row class. Then we are using two headings, login and authorized access only. As you can see, this is nothing big about that. This is important here. Then I am creating a form. Actually, the form action property is very important. I'm giving the value as login underscore 2.php. That is our step 2. We're going to build this, right? So that is mentioned as the action. Post as usual, used for the method. Then I'm creating a form row, a line item left. This is to build this appearance with these icons in front and all. I could have changed this font or some icon also, right? Just I built it like that. Right, so you can just copy paste this code and do the modifications. I just mentioned it as username here, or you can call it even as email. Right, we are using the input field, email type input field. So username, we are expecting the user to type an email. Then the ID we are giving user ID, name also we are giving user ID, because in the backend we're going to receive information under user ID. Then the second component is the password part. Password is labeled as password I'm using here, and I'm using here okay, we'll use like that. Nice. So just use to change the icon, that's all, right? So here we are using input type is text. That should not be happening, so we'll change that to password. Field should be password right now. Okay, characters are camouflaged. Okay, right. Then you can see here ID is access code, name is also access code. These are important. These are the fields that's going to bring the values to the next page. We're going to use them, right? Okay, right. So the next part is we are just creating two buttons. So we can click the cancel button if you are canceling it, or you can use the names here, usernames and password properly. Then you can click the login button, and you will end up in here. It's asking you to add a proper username, admin@admin.com. I'll type, then I'll try login. Then it's looking for the page login2.php. Now we have to build that part. So nothing big deal, nothing much we have done under login.file, right? Okay, login page is done now, right? Okay. Now next step, we're going to build the login2.php. .php file, which is this one, right? Okay, database part is also done. This part table we have created. So we have to build this one and connect it with that. Let's build the login2.php file, which is this one. Let's build it now, right? As you know, login2.php file is not going to be a visual file. It's going to be a code only file. So I don't need to make any duplicates. I'll just build another file. That's all right. So let's building a file. I build a file called login_2.php. So start the PHP code. The very first thing I'm going to do is connect to database server. Then I need to do is require command. Then db connection file is there. We link that. Once we do that, as you know, right? So we will display the details, username and password with it is properly received in this page. Then we can proceed from there, right? Usually we are doing it like that, right? Let's go to the page. Let's try with the administrator username and password, right? So admin@admin.com. Let's try login now. So we land on the other page. I don't want to save this, right? So you can see user ID and access code, both names are properly coming to the arrays, as well as we are receiving admin@admin.com for the user ID and admin as the password for the access code. So we are receiving it, right? So this is one good indication. Values are properly done now. Now we can proceed with our code now. I'm going to comment this part. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to build two variables, right? So let's capture the values to variables, so it makes the code easier when you're writing. My code is lengthier like this because I'm leaving a lot of spaces and comments. First variable is going to be user_id is assigned the value. Request array is user id. Then access code is request arrays access code. Make sure you don't make any mistakes, spelling mistakes especially. So we are storing those two values in the two variables, right? Now we can build the SQL command using this one. So I'm going to show you how you can avoid the SQL injection as well. I'm not going to talk much about SQL injections here because it's a different topic. So I'm going to pick the record using only the user ID. So if you take a look at the table, that is my mechanism of building this one. There are two records in this table. You have the user ID as well as the access code both. I can write an SQL command, select all from logs where user ID equals, within single quotes I can type admin@admin.com. With a space I can say end. I can use the end operator, which is in SQL, and I can use access code equals admin. Then this record will be picked. I'm not going to do like that. I'm going to use it only with the user ID, right? So in order to block that part, right? Let's see how it's done. So first I'm going to do, let's build. Why I say dynamic SQL command means we can use these variables, values, and we are building the SQL command. So I'm going to say SQL is assign the value, select all from logs where user ID is equals, make sure you use single quotes either sides, and the user ID. That's all. Do not continue. Do not continue because you can't use, don't use and say password is also matching. If you use that one using SQL injections, it can be easily hacked, right? So we are not giving that chance. So I'm going to execute the SQL command. So when you execute the SQL command, we have to receive it in the resource because it's a select command. We're going to take values to the program. How do you execute a SQL command? MySQL I, and you say query, and you can give the SQL command here, right? You can give the SQL command here, right? Okay. Then what we're going to do next is, once you execute this one, we need to make sure the user name is found. So if the username is found, at least one record will be there. So we can write if MySQL I underscore num underscore rows, MySQL underscore num underscore rows, right? So we say rs is greater than 0. Then we can say user name or user ID found in DB. Do not display to the customer, okay? So do not display this in the real screen. Right, there's a mistake. Thank you. One student is saying it should be like this. User ID equals user ID. Thank you. Right, correct. Thank you, Atif. Right. User ID found in DB, right? Else we will say echo record not. Okay, we'll say username not found. User ID not found. So this is still we are developing stage, so it's okay. Let's try this. What's happening? Let's go to the page, and I'm going to reload the page. So when you reload the page, it says user ID found in DB, right? Let's go back. Let's try a username which is not there, right? We'll say abc@yahoo.com. Password, I'll type just a password. Just try to log in and see. There we go. It says user ID not found. So it's properly working with the database, right? Okay, cool, right? So now, since the user ID is found, I am going to comment this, right? We'll say, sorry, since the user ID found, let's match the passwords to, or let's check the password. Let's check the password too. So if the password is also matching, then fine. So I'm checking whether the record is found or not. That's why I use the number of rows. So if you want to access the record, first of all, you have to copy that to the array. So we know how to do that. Row is assigned to MySQL I underscore fetch underscore assoc. If you don't understand this, George, watch my previous video, please, right? Then we're going to say dollar sign the resource. So from that, it can take the record. Definitely one record will be there because usernames are unique, right? Only one email will be appearing only once. No worries about that. So now it is an indication in line number 6, the 26, username is found. Now we need to check the password. So where the password, we have it in this variable, right? Okay, let's try that. So I'm going to type if, now watch this, if dollar sign row arrays access code. Now row arrays access code means the row array is getting created by copying the database records. Actually here only one record is there. That records contents are copied to row array. So when you say if condition row arrays access code, we are referring to the database column value. That means we are referring to this value actually in the database. Real column value is what we are referring by this one. Then we say is equals to, now see where we are using the operator, is equals to dollar sign access code. This is the user typed access code. In the previous page, user entered a access code, which means the password. We are matching the database password or what is stored in the database under the logs table. There's a column called access code. That value is exactly matching with the access code variables value. Access code variables value is coming from the user's input. See, user is entering from the previous page, that is login1.php file. He is entering the use access code. That is what is getting copied to the access code variable here. That variable's value is what we are checking here. So if this part is matching, in the sense, if this is matching, means database column value is matching with the user's input password value. So it's 100% sure same password entered. Here else means, you can say echo password not matched. Never give error messages like this. Okay, so for your learning purpose only, I'm giving, I'm saying username or else user ID is okay, but password not matched, right? So never give error messages like that. People can guess, right? So that's it. So if that is okay, we'll say echo username and password both are matching, right? So we can think about the next step. That means we can redirect the user to the dashboard, right? Okay, let's try that now, right? So let's go back. So we're going to type the username as a wrong username. We will type, definitely it will pick up. It says user ID not found. Let's give the correct username, which is admin@admin.com. I'm going to type the wrong password. Correct username, wrong password. I'm going to type 123. That is wrong password. So it says user ID okay, but password is not matched. Don't do this, okay? Don't do this mistake. Right. So this time we will use the correct password. Admin is the password. So I typed. So it says username and password both are matching, right? So that's cool, right? Nice. Now what we need to do is we need to do a small thing, right? Let's now username and password both are matching. Cool. So we're going to let's redirect the user to dashboard.php file. Okay, so you know how to redirect the file already. You have learned. You can use the header command, then say location colon dashboard.php. So we are going to the dashboard.php. Right now, these error messages we are not displaying. We are just commenting those error messages. And in case username is not correct or password is not correct, or both username and both passwords are not correct, we are redirecting the user header. Location, we say invalid login.php. We have to create that page anyways. So either situations we are sending to the invalid login page. Let's see how it is working now. Let's go back. Let's type the correct username and correct password. So we'll see login. Now we are landing in the dashboard. See, we are coming to the dashboard. Still, we haven't built the logout facility yet. Let's go back once again. We are in this one. So if you type the wrong username, let's say um, john@yahoo.com, we don't have such an ID here. Even the password is not correct. So let's hit this login button. It is trying to locate the file invalid login. We have to build that. How are we going to build that, right? Let's go back. Correct username, but wrong password. Still, it takes you to the invalid login page, right? Okay, so without further delay, let's create that part. Uh, what is called that the invalid login page. Now remember children, this login is a basic level, right? So encryption not done yet. So version 2 we will do that. Just wait for a while, I'll do that, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to go here. Yeah, we're going to create that page. It's so easy to create. How I'm creating, say login one page, select, then press letter D on your keyboard. And by the way, I'm using Atom software, duplicating the file, then saving this one as invalid underscore invalid login.php file. So that page is created. So let's do some modifications to the file without wasting a lot of time. So it says login. Let's say login failed, and we will put this one danger. So that means login failed. Authorized access, we will say try again. Try again. Anyways, both we will put it in red color. Text danger. Right. Right. Okay. So that's all that you need to do here. Nothing much you need to do, because after you type the usernames and passwords in the same page, when you hit the login button, again, we're going to go to login2.php file. Only that part you need to make sure heading is changed, right, properly. So let's try once again. Let's go back. Let's log in with a, okay, correct username, but wrong password. Let's try login. So it comes to the same place, like it says login failed, authorized access only, try again. So if you try again, I'll make a mistake. Still we are here. We are not going to go out of this place until we give the correct username password. So if I hit the correct username password, then I can land on my dashboard file. Okay, right. So we have correctly built the overall mechanism of this part, right? So there's one major lacking of this one, which is the encryption. We're going to do it in the version 2, which will take about another 15 minutes. Let's do it after you practice this. Now, students, we have finished the login module. The version 1, I would call this one as version 1 we have done. Actually, we need to do the version 2 of this one, because no encryption has been applied in here, which means the passwords are very vulnerable. It's very easy to be seen, and you can simply hack this thing, right? So we need to make this one more protected. That's step 1. Number 2 is there is a problem here. Actually, one Zain asked that question also, right? So if you are not logging in, right? If you haven't logged in, but see, if I type in the URL dashboard, if you remember the URL, you type the dashboard URL and you are in. You can delete, you can do whatever you want. So this is a mistake that we are doing. So without logging in, no one should be allowed to access your restricted pages. So we're going to block this. So I'm going to show you how to do this part, right? All right. So thanks for asking that question anyways. So we're going to do that part, right? Now what I will do is, now we're going to do two things, right? We're not going to do any modifications to the database, no modifications to the database, but I'm going to copy and paste two passwords here, which are encrypted. So hereafter, in version 2, your version 1 code won't work. So anybody who is watching my videos at a later time, if you are skipping and watching, it's not going to work. Watch the video from the beginning, step by step. Please do that. So I'm not going to give you two versions of the databases also. So the encrypted one is what we're going to use in the future. So this is what we do. We don't do any changes to this, right? I'm going to go to my folder, right? Let me take a folder here quickly. I'll take you also can do the same, okay, children? So if you are practicing, please do that. I'm going to take my folder. 1 second, then I'll come, right? So this is my folder actually. These are my personal things, right? Let's say HND, right? This is the one we are working on, right? This is not necessary again. So version chapter 7 is there with us, right? So I'm going to duplicate that one, right? Chapter 7, you need to duplicate, right? So just Control C, Control V, then that will create a duplicate copy of that file and call that one version 2, right? Like this, chapter 7 underscore, you type uh, VR2 version 2. Previous one we can rename if you want to version 1, but this is version 2 we're going to do. So I'm going to do the database encryption part, sorry, the login part, encryption part, and sessions I'm going to discuss with you. So please do that part before you proceed with the other parts. Okay, right? So I'm going to continue now. Now see, I'm going to close these files. Now you can see my version 2 files are here, right? So I'm going to open that folder and here I'm going to work, right? Now, first of all, let me talk to you 1 second, right? So I will delete this code already discussed. So if I write something like this, right? So let's say admin123, this is most people's default password. Okay, right? Admin123. This is a bad password, by the way. It's not a difficult password to guess. Okay, so it's a very easy passwords, right? So these passwords we are asking, even if you encrypt these things, no use, right, children? So better use uh, something like you use capital simple letters, symbols, and numbers together. For example, you can use something like, let's say you want to use in your password a place like school, right? Say then you type school, you can type 5, right? Capital C. H you can type, right? H you can type simple. Then you can type 00. This is not O I'm typing, okay, in the keyboard. I'm typing two zeros. Then I'm typing uh, simple L, school, right? Then hash mark, something like this, right? So a number that you write, like for example, let's say a lucky number is, don't repeat the same number, right? Something like 7319, something like this. You type something like that. That is only something meaningful to you. If you make use of passwords like this, then it's going to be a strong password. Otherwise, it's going to be easy to crack. There are methods called brute force attacking, which means random passwords can be automated and they can be generated, and softwares and robots are there which will be constantly attacking your logging screens. And sometimes if it is a poor password you have used, at a time the combination will be generated and your password will be cracked, so that will be a problem. Okay, so make sure, even though you learn how to do the encryption, unless you don't use a strong password, it is meaningless. Okay, right? Having said that, let's see how we're going to do this part, right? So this part you can read and understand. This part, it's okay by looking at that one. Of course it looks easy, but you can make it more tough than this as well, right? Okay, let's get started. First thing, I'm going to create a file here. And of course, in PHP, there are different mechanisms you can do the encryptions. There is a method called MD5 encryption. Okay, they are using different types of keys and all. MD5 is not a, such a password. I mean, such a not a good way of encrypting, because there are online methods are there. Easily you can crack them. So we're going to use one-way encryption, which is comes with PHP. So if it's possible, crack and see. Okay, right? Let's see how we do that. I'm going to create a file here. This is just for our discussion. We are creating a file. I'm going to create something like um, a, right? So create underscore password, create password.php, and just create a file. That's all. Let's make it a PHP file, right? And we'll put a h1 tag there. So it'll be whatever displayed will be big letters, right? Okay. So I will have a variable called pwd. That's my password, right? So our password here was admin, right? So I'm not going to change that. You can use a difficult password if you like. I'm going to use admin, and let's display the original password, right? So this is no encryption done, right? So right. So we need to do the encryption after this, right? Let's see how we can do that. So first we will take a look at the in the screen how it looks. So we are in version 2. We have to go to the version 2. Make sure that we are in version 2, and I'm going to open create password. So we haven't done anything. So here you see the password admin. Let's encrypt that one, right? So the command for encrypting is called crypt. In all versions, you can use just the crypt. So in the new version 7 point plus, you have to use crypt with the salt value, right? So you can read the full documentation in php.net website. Go to documentation and learn about script function. So I encourage you to learn about this one more so you can effectively use this. So here, when you give the password pwd, this is the password we want to encrypt. There'll be a warning will come. See, password will be generated though. It says here, crypt, no salt parameter was specified. You must use a randomly generated salt and a strong hash function to produce a secure hash, right? So we need to use proper, what do you call, a hash code as well, in order to make the password difficult to guess. So it is generating a password for admin, it has generated something like this. This is how all days it will generate. See, I'm keep on refreshing, different things are coming, right? So once you give a salt value, so it's not going to generate like that when you give a salt value. What a salt value? You give like this. Let's give something difficult to guess. Something like um, x, then 0, 7, let's say h. It doesn't really matter for me. Just I gave x07h, just typed it. So when you reload this now you can see it's a small, but it's a very strong password. When I reload, the same thing is there. This is actually admin is what is represented like that. By reading this one, can you guess it as admin? No, right? So it is coming like this. So this value we can copy and paste it in the database. I hope you understand that. That is crypt, and this is the salt value. This is like a, it is using this hash code or this salt value in order to build that algorithm. So we don't know much about how actually the crypt function is functioning. So if you really know how it is functioning, what will happen is you can reverse engineer this and you can crack the password. So for fun, just try to do it and see. So that's it about it, right? Okay, you can learn about this one more on the internet, but I'm not going to do up to this point, right? Okay, let me pause the video for a while. Right, so we will proceed to the next step, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my database part. First, I'm going to copy this, right? So I will properly copy this, copy that, open my database table, and I will paste it here, right? Now it is gone. Then I'm going to rename this part to user, right? And I'll reload once more. Then that password is also generated. Copy that, and I can put it for user, right? So no one can guess the passwords now. If you forget, then it's a problem, right? Okay, now watch this. What's going to happen is now when you go to the login part, when you go to the login section, let's try the login now. Version 2, we'll try to log in now. We have the login screen, right? So you type the correct username, admin@admin.com. Password is admin. We know that. If you try to log in, it says invalid login. There's a reason is computer is comparing your username and the password like this. So it is comparing here, right? What is coming here? Row arrays access code. This is the value which is coming from the database, which is this one, right? X04JSN, that's the part coming. Access code, this is the user entered password. That is actually in simple letters, admin you are typing. So simply children, you are writing if condition like this. If you are writing, if this is equals to this is what is actually happening. So that is why it's not getting matched. Okay, so we need to do one thing. We need to, when we are checking, we need to convert this. We need to convert this user typed password to the same password. That means if we can generate the same password, then it is, if you type the same sequence only, the same encrypted password will be generated. Remember that inside this encrypted password, the hash code or that salt value is also used inside that. It is there. So don't worry, you don't have to separately use it. You do it like this. So in order to generate that, what you do, you use the crypt function again. You know what happens when you use the crypt function? This is what the user types, which is admin actually. Then put the comma. We need to give the salt value. So we don't know the salt value, which is actually used by the uh, person who, when he or she is creating. So we simply copy and paste the database password for the salt value. Remember that, because in this encrypted password, that salt value or that hash code is available, so that computer can generate the same encrypted password. That is the mechanism to do it. So very simple. Use the crypt function once more. Then within the parenthesis, you give the access code, which is the user typed version, comma, for the hash code or for the salt value, you use the existing database password. So make sure you put another closing parenthesis, then fine. Now the code is okay. Now let's try whether it is working now, right? So we can try this, right? So admin, and we'll try the correct password, admin. There we go. Now with the encryption, project is perfectly working and we are inside the file. So we used encryption and now we have logged in, right? Now we have logged in, okay? Right. So the step two, right? So that is about the login module. From this part, login module is finishing. We're going to build the third part in the sense we're going to protect the web pages like add, edit, delete pages, even the search page we can protect by not letting unauthorized people accessing it, right? Not by not letting unauthorized people accessing it. So I'm going to show you how to do that part. So code and everything is ready with me. I'm going to show you how to do that, right? Before that, let's see. I'm just going to copy this code in, right? I'll copy this code, then I'll close the browser. Once I close my browser, there's no browser in my window now. So I'm going to start my browser again. Okay. So let's assume this is happening at a different time. Okay. This is my browser. Someone is pasting the URL, same URL. You have the URL somehow, or in your history it is copied. So someone, not you, someone else is trying the same URL. Let's try. Press the enter key. Oh, you are inside the dashboard problem, right? So we need to block this. We need to block this. This is not good, right? So we'll try again. Close that. Let's open it again. Let's try the same thing, but I know, let's say dashboard, I don't know. We just try something like delete. You just, for luck, you're trying delete product one.php. Wow, page found. You just type one and see. Record not there. Okay, try again. Well, let's try. Why not? Two, record not found. Just for fun, let's try four. Wow, record found. I'm a happy person. I'm going to delete, or I'm going to change the details, or this is edit something happening. So I just want to delete it, right? So we had a problem there. I think it has gone to edit the product. So I can change this product. Price, let's say I set it to 0. Then I say this. So the person who is selling this one, if actually it is getting billed, then this will be a problem, right? It will be a problem. Okay, so we have to block this. We have to block these pages. So that is what we're going to do in version 2. So let's do that part. So for your study purpose, I am maintaining separate pages, separate versions, right? Okay, let's see how it can be done. Step 1, we will block one page and I'll show you how it's done. Then I will apply the same code using another way to all the pages, restricted pages. Right. Now, first of all, we will go to dashboard file. Dashboard file at the very top part, I'm going to write some code in here, right? Some code in here so I can do the validation. Before that, children, we need to learn in order to understand that there's a question. So children, I'm going to explain you in order to do that mechanism, something called sessions, right? Cookies and sessions you'd have heard about sometimes when you're accessing some web pages. They're asking by visiting this web page, you are accepting or terms and conditions this because this web page uses cookies. It's like this. If you have a web server and if you have a lot of clients, right? And when they're accessing the website, right? When they're accessing the website, there are times clients or the web users, they come to the same website again and again. So you can have your personal preferences like colors, fonts, sizes, alignments, language choices, these kind of things stored in your computer. Next time when you are going to the same server, the server secretly it can read that cookie file from your computer and it can get information about the user who is accessing, and accordingly it can do the customization. In that good intention, the cookie files has been developed, but it can be used by other people for malicious uses. So that is possible, though the people, they say the hash files or these not the hash files, the cookie files which are created by the server can be read only by the server, but of course there are hacking tools can do the pretty good job, right? So we are not going to do cookies here. Cookie files I'm not going to do. I'm going to teach you something called sessions, right? So I'm going to teach you something called sessions. Sessions in the sense, if you go to a page like this, right? If you go to eBay, Let's say you can, these are the things that I browse. So it's showing this color pencils and all. So when I browse for something like, let's say, Nikon lens. Okay. So I'm searching for a lens, right? Let's say I'm interested in this particular lens, right? So I go for here. Then I think there is the brand is not Nikon. So let's go to another one. Let's say this one. I can keep on browsing. Okay. Then what I can do is, actually I haven't logged into my account. If I have logged in, what I can do is I can add this to the cart. I can add this to the cart. It says my cart is now empty. Then after adding, assume that I added this to the cart. Let's say next I want to purchase a tripod, not a lens. Then I'm looking for a tripod. Okay. So let's say this one I'm interested in, a tripod like this, for example, right? This is okay with me. I'm adding that to my cart. Then I'm visiting around 20, 30 pages. A lot of pages I'm visiting. Then I didn't find anything interesting. Now I want to go to the cart and I want to do the checkout. So the idea is for the time being, we know how to bring data from one web page to another web page by using HTML forms or HTML links. We can submit using get and post method. We can submit. So directly, if you go from this page to this page, data can be by submitting. You can take it over here. But when you're browsing, when you add something to a basket, and when you want to go to hundreds of pages, and in 105th page you want to do the checkout, then still the basket items should be there. So there should be a way of doing this one, right? So in order to help you do that part, what we have done is, in the web server there is a special built-in array called sessions. Okay. When this is, let's say, c1, c2, c3, right? These are clients, right? So these are clients. So when client 3 is logging into the server, when he is connected with the server, on behalf of client 3, a session can be maintained. Session is nothing but an array. Okay. It's an array, built-in array. For if the customer 2 has logged in at the same time, another session array will be maintained for him, as long as this client is active with the mm, server. This session will be maintained. Suppose if the connection breaks, you disconnect that, or you close the browser, this session is disappears or it gets destroyed. That is how the session's going to work. So we're going to work on how to send values from one page to another using the sessions. It's very simple. So I'm going to make use of the login screen itself to understand this mechanism. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go to my login2.php file. Login2.php file, I'm coming here. Then first thing I need to do is, just like we connect to the database server, session is a facility in the web server. We need to get it started. So you have to, there's a built-in method called session underscore start. You need to call this method. So see, it's light blue. That means it's a built-in method. So starting the session should be first happening. You have to, you can't do it at the bottom. At the very top, you have to do start the start the session, right? Right. So once you have done that, right, sorry, you can come down here. Now, this is the place once the username and password are matching, and you are going to the dashboard file. Before you go to the dashboard, because after line number 37, we are not going to stay in this page. So there is no way you can store a variable there. So what we do is, we create, or we access the session array itself. Now this is the session array. Then you can store the values. User ID is equals to, you can put the user ID, the user having. You can use the user ID. Then you can use session arrays. If you want the password also, you can use. I'm not going to take the password there. I'm going to use the user group. So two variables I'm creating. That is, again, user. I don't have the user group here, but I can get it from the database row array. So row arrays, user underscore group, user underscore group I can take. So I can access those values. Again, in a nutshell, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Session is the facility that we're going to make use of in order to bring values from pages to pages to pages, as long as the connection is active. If the connection breaks, only the session will be destroyed as long as the connection is active in the server on behalf of the client. An array can be maintained. In that array, these values can be stored and maintained. So in order to get that facility started and going, you need to make sure you start this session start function you have to call, right? Session start function you have to call. That is step one. Then down here, children, before we go to the other page, we access that session array in the server. This is going to run in the server anyways. So we have a variable name called user ID, and in that array, okay, user group, these are two associative values. For them, we are giving the values, the user ID, actual the username, but the actual username, and what is his privilege level. That means the user group. These two values we are storing there. Right. This, though you do this one, it doesn't mean we have blocked it. We have blocked it. So in order to block that, now I'm coming to the dashboard file. In this page, I'm going to block this. So in order to block that, what I'm going to do is, see, I'm going to write a PHP code at the very top. At the very top, you have to do. If I'm going to use the session facility, definitely you have to start the session, right? Session start, you have to do first. That's the very first thing you have to do. Then I'm going to write if, right? If I better put a comment also. So let's validate the user. If we can say session arrays, right? User ID, we can say equals to blank. If it is equals to blank, that means you have access in this one in a way without getting your username stored in that variable. So definitely you have directly come to this page without properly logging in. If you properly logging in only from login2.php file, your username and the user group is getting stored in these variables. Otherwise, no way it can get stored there. So in that case, what we say is we redirect the user to invalid login page. That's what we're going to do. That's very simple. You put the header command and say location invalid login dot php. So user will have to type the correct password and join in. This is the restriction code. That's all the piece of code. Very simple, right? But doing this one properly in your assignment will guarantee a merit or a distinction. Okay, remember that. So let's try that and see now. Okay, now we go here. Right. So let's erase this code, right? Erase this code. Let's type dashboard. Directly, I'm going to type dashboard, because when I type that dashboard.php, now I am getting inside the page, right? So there's a problem. I would have logged in once, right? Let's go back now. Let's copy this code in. Let's copy this, close that, right? Now let's take the browser again. Let's try pasting it. Um, I think I did it correctly. We are in the correct folder. That's also correct. Okay, I'll pause the video and check it out. Okay, we didn't do any changes to the code. So what I did is I opened my Google Chrome browser and we are pasting the same thing. Haven't logged in. See, it is redirecting me to the page. So I'll show you from here also, right? So let's, for the time being, we'll do it from the Chrome. I'll figure it out what's the problem. Yes. So if I try to go to the dashboard, it is not letting me go in. It is just sending me out. Okay. Right. So what we got to do is we need to block all the pages, right? We need to block all the pages. So I'm not going to copy and paste this code to every page. How I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut this one. See, cut that, and in the uh, folder, which is chapter 7 version 2, I'm creating a new file called validate underscore user dot php, and that is just a php file. Inside this, I'm just pasting this code. Okay, we don't need this. This code is there. Validate user code is there. That's all. Nothing much. Now what we do is for every page that should be validated. For example, at product one, at the top, we need to include this command. We have to say require. We can say validate user.php. So this code you need to do, right? So let's copy that. Let's go to product2.php. Here, the first thing we need to do that. We need to validate. Product 3, we need to validate. So likewise for every page we need to do, right? Let me quickly do that one for all the pages, right? So I'm going to restrict that. Okay, add is done. Edit, delete is here. Let's do for the delete part. Done. Here also done. Here also done. Delete 4 page. Here also done. Then edit page. Right here I'm adding edit 2, edit 3, edit 4. Okay, I didn't get copy. So let me close the pages. So make sure every page is done properly. So don't put it in the invalid page and all, otherwise it will loop. So edit product 4, edit product 3, edit product 2. Yes, it's there. So now the pages are restricted. Okay, now the pages are restricted. Dashboard is also restricted. Now let's go here to the one and we'll see. We're going to click on dashboard contact. Did I log in once? It's not again giving the same trouble, right? I think it's getting stored, right? Start once again. We are going inside, right? Okay, something wrong. Okay, sorry about that delay, right? So you know what happened was I added the validating code to every page and I didn't check those pages, right? So for every page we said require validate user.php. We forgot to type that part for this dashboard file. That is why we are testing the dashboard file. Then it is not letting us in, right? Now see, since I did that, we can open the same browser. I thought the problem was with the browser. Let's go here, dashboard, right? Let's try. Oh, version 2 dashboard. It's not letting you in, right? So it's not letting you in. It's giving you out, right? So if you try any other page, add product 1.php, still it's not allowing you in. So any page that you try to do, like add product, delete product 1, not letting you in, right? So not letting you in. So unless you properly log in, right? Then only one page I need to build here, that is logout page. Let's build it quickly so the completion is there. Logout.php. So basically what you need to do is very simple. First of all, you have to start the session facility, session start. Then you have to say session underscore destroy, session destroy. Then you have to redirect the user to a page. So I'm going to redirect the user back to login page, login1.php file. So now if you try, we cannot access it. So we have to first of all log in admin. I'm logging as the admin. What happens is once we log in, I can access all the other features because I have logged in. So if I click on sign out now, so I'll be signed out. So if I try to go back, see, back button is not working. So if I try to access any other page, restricted page, I cannot access it. I can only use the username password properly. Then I can log in. Then only I can access it here. So that's how it's working. So we have built the logout facility as well. So in the logout facility, first we start the session, then we destroy it. So everything stored in your session gets destroyed. Then you are redirected to the second or the other page. So this piece of code, validate user file, we have added to all the things. Okay. Right. So that concludes the version 2 of the uh, what do you call our programming part, and the main part we did was the login module. So we took quite some time and we have developed it, finished. So hope you found the video as well as the session useful. So see you in the next video. Till then, bye.